Karakura Town and the characters that live within it are central to the story of Bleach. But as the story progressed from episodic hollow encounters into full-scale wars in alternate realms, the humans that were introduced that helped to ground Ichigo's story got further pushed into the background. Characters like Keigo and Mizuhiro served very little to the plot aside from comedic relief. The inhabitant of Karakura Town that I want to focus on in this video is Tatsuki Arisawa. She's been Ichigo's closest friend since childhood. She trained with him at the dojo when they were just children, and she actually used to beat him in sparring matches. Over the course of the story, we learn that she is protective of Orihime, and Kubo set her up for something more. I mean, Kubo gave her spiritual awareness that was developing alongside Chad and Orihime. He drew her in Shinigami robes with her own Zanpakuto spirit for a Bleach artbook. Bit by bit, he gave us these breadcrumbs suggesting that she would eventually join the main cast, but then nothing happened. In this video, we'll be talking about the wasted potential of Tatsuki, as well as some interesting what-if scenarios if Kubo decided to keep Tatsuki in the limelight. Now, do you know which characters Kubo hasn't forgotten about? It's all of the people who are subscribed to the channel. Only 20% of the people who watch these videos are subscribed, so if you enjoy this content and want to see more, then make sure to hit the bell icon and subscribe. Tatsuki and Ichigo met at a dojo when they were only 4 years old. She claims that she made him cry within 10 seconds with a single blow to the body. She routinely beat him in karate until sometime in the 6th grade when he finally managed to win against her. And this was pretty much the last time Tatsuki could even consider fighting Ichigo. Now this history matters because Tatsuki knows Ichigo in ways nobody else does. She was there before his mother died as she watched him pace by the riverbank day after day looking for Masaki in those dark months following her death. Not even Orihime knew the extent of Ichigo's trauma. She knew the Ichigo who was weak and would cry easily. When other kids spread rumors about Ichigo seeing ghosts, Tatsuki was the one who got angry on his behalf and defended him. Her relationship with Orihime carries equal weight. They met in middle school shortly after Sora died, and Tatsuki became Orihime's protector. She fought off bullies who tried to cut Orihime's hair. She gave Orihime the confidence to grow her hair out long, and the bond between them drove major plot points later on in the story. During the Substitute Shinigami arc, Tatsuki begins displaying early signs of spiritual awareness. She can sense souls hovering around her, even if she can't fully see them yet. During Orihime's battle with the hollow acid wire, Tatsuki manages to see the hollow's fuzzy outline, which is exactly where Chad started before his powers awakened. And here's something people overlook. After acid wire's attack, Rukia attempted to erase Tatsuki's memories. The memory erasure wasn't entirely successful. While Tatsuki did forget the specific details, she retained memories of Rukia being present at Orihime's house, as well as the physical sensation of the attack, like difficulty in breathing. These were early signs that her spiritual awareness or abilities were manifesting before anyone acknowledged it. You could say there is evidence beyond this speculation. Kubo intended for the Substitute Shinigami arc to be much longer than what we had. The original plan called for a more serialized Monster of the Week format in the early days, with multiple characters from Ichigo's school gradually becoming more and more relevant. However, Kubo's editor at the time encouraged him to introduce the Shinigami characters faster into the story, so this shortened the time that we spent on those daily school life stories and Monsters of the Week scenarios, and thus the development of Ichigo's human friends was impacted. Kubo planned for each of Ichigo's friends to have their own respective hollow encounters, and even in an early manga color spread we saw the design for Shinji Hirako, hinting that he too was supposed to play somewhat of a role in the first arc of the series. But then with the rapid introduction of Rukia's investigation and the Soul Society arc shifting the focus away from the slower paced character driven moments of the first arc, Kubo's original vision for Bleach and the characters was altered. It's been theorized by fans that the Fullbringer arc was conceptualized to occur far earlier in the story than when it did, potentially to occur right after the Soul Society arc rather than when it eventually landed after the Arrancar arc. If the Fullbringer arc had happened earlier, Ichigo's friends would have developed Fullbringer abilities of their own, and Kubo does draw some parallels between the human cast of characters from Karakura Town and the members of Execution. Take for example Tatsuki sharing some obvious similarities with Jackie Tristan. Both are bold in their personality and are confident martial artists. Jackie's role during the Fullbringer arc was specifically to train with Ichigo, something Tatsuki had done countless times when they were kids. methods. Mizuhiro mirrors Yukio in temperament, Keigo and Shishigawara share the same hyperactive energy, and these execution members might have originally been designed as replacements for the characters that Kubo wanted to develop earlier in the story but couldn't. Another key giveaway is Chad being a member of Execution. Maybe Chad was supposed to be grouped alongside Mizuhiro, Keigo and Tatsuki originally. Now there is a artwork that was drawn by Kubo which fans have been pointing to for years. In a official Bleach art book called All Color But the Black that was released on the 4th of December 2006, Kubo drew Tatsuki wearing Shinigami robes. Here she's holding what appears to be a fox or dog-like creature that's wrapped around her body like a scarf with a blade extending from the fox's tail. This Zanpakuto design appears to be in its Shikai state, and Kubo didn't draw random students as Shinigami, he drew Tatsuki specifically, complete with a unique weapon concept. Here Kubo clearly envisions a reality where Tatsuki wielded spiritual power. We can't say for certain whether if this was meant to be her actual future in the story, or if it's simply Kubo having fun with a what-if scenario, but the foundation for her development did exist in Kubo's mind. During the Aranka arc, Tatsuki had a bit more screen time. Her spiritual awareness sharpened to the point where she could clearly see Shinigami, hollows, and spiritual events occurring around her. She noticed Ichigo leaving in his Shinigami form. She caught sight of him interrogating Shinji about the Vizard's intentions. She even developed the ability to sense Orihime's spiritual pressure from a distance, which became crucial later in the story. And then came Yammy. The 10th ranking Espada landed in Karakura town alongside Ukiura for their reconnaissance mission. Yammy activated Gonzui, the ability that drains the souls of nearby humans, killing them instantly. Tatsuki's classmates dropped around her, but Tatsuki herself resisted the ability. She remained standing where others collapsed. Her spiritual pressure was significant enough to survive an attack that wiped out everyone else in the vicinity. This alone should have been treated as the awakening moment for a new member of the main cast. During the fake Karakura town arc, Aizen walks through the human world in his Hokyoku enhanced form. His Reiatsu is so overwhelming that Isshin openly states that he cannot even sense it anymore. Aizen has transcended the normal boundaries of spiritual power. Regular humans should disintegrate in his presence, but yet Tatsuki, brought to her knees and paralyzed by fear, manages to maintain her existence. She doesn't die or lose consciousness, she survives proximity to a being that had evolved beyond the comprehension of Captain-level Shinigami. The narrative explicitly highlights this as a remarkable feat. Coming back to the early portions of the Aranka arc, Tatsuki senses that something is deeply wrong when Orihime disappears. She's been feeling shut out for a while, noticing things that she can't explain as she watches her childhood friend keep secrets from her, and here's the detail that makes this worse. Tatsuki could sense Orihime's Reiatsu when she was in the Soul Society with Ichigo during the Soul Society arc, but now she cannot sense Orihime's Reiatsu anymore. This is because she is in Hueco Mundo and the distance is too vast. Something has gone horribly wrong and nobody is telling her what it is. She confronts Ichigo directly, slamming his face into a window, demanding the truth. She says, "I've seen you through so many hard times, I've helped you so many times, you don't hide things from someone like that." The emotional pain in this scene speaks to a character who genuinely feels betrayed by her exclusion from Ichigo's life. After this, nothing really happens. Tatsuki gets left behind, while the main cast ventures off into Hueco Mundo. This scene, which could have been the turning point for her character, instead becomes a dead end. Now, some people have theorized Tatsuki could have had a connection with Yoruichi. She is the former commander of the Onmitsukido and one of the greatest Hakuda practitioners in the history of the Soul Society. Her fighting style is predominantly hand-to-hand combat, which is enhanced by her mastery of Ho-Ho and eventually Shunko. She doesn't rely on a Zanpakuto as she overwhelms opponents with speed, technique, and devastating physical strikes. Tatsuki is a karate prodigy who ranked second nationally in her age group. She fought through a tournament with a broken arm and still earned herself a respectable rank. Tatsuki's entire approach to combat is discipline, technique, and physical conditioning. She works as an instructor at her childhood dojo by the time that the Fullbringer arc occurs. Fans have been screaming about this connection for years because it's sitting right there. Yoruichi could have recognized Tatsuki's potential during the Aranka arc. Here is a human girl with developed spiritual awareness, training in hand-to-hand combat since childhood, possessing the same protective instincts that drive Ichigo himself, Yoruichi could have taught her Hakuda techniques adapted for a human body. She could help Tatsuki channel Reiatsu through her strikes the way that Shinigami do. I mean, if Chad was training with Urahara, there could have been an addition where Tatsuki could have trained with Yoruichi. In addition to this, if there was any story arc that should have given Tatsuki her moment, it was the Fullbringer arc. This story arc specifically focuses on Ichigo's human connections. It examines what happens when a hero loses his powers and must navigate the ordinary world that he once protected. The Fullbringers are humans with supernatural abilities. The entire premise begins by centering itself on humanity's relationship with spiritual power. Tatsuki survived Yammy's Gonzui. She maintained her existence in Aizen's presence. She developed spiritual awareness through proximity to Ichigo the same way Chad and Orihime did. If the Hokyoku amplified latent desires in humans around Ichigo, then what could Tatsuki's fierce desire to protect her friends have manifested? Picture her Fullbring tied to her karate gi, the uniform she's worn through countless tournaments and training sessions. Her karate gi imbued with her pride, her discipline, and her will to fight. Jackie's dirty boots enhanced her combat ability through accumulated filth. Tatsuki's karate uniform could enhance her strikes, movement, and her overall physical capabilities. You can imagine her possessing a clad-type Fullbring perfectly suited to a martial artist. She could have been present when Tsukishima's manipulation reached its peak. Her bond with Ichigo goes deeper than anyone Tsukishima affected. This connection could have provided resistance to Book of the End's influence when Ichigo hits his lowest point, stripped of his Fullbring powers and surrounded by manipulated friends. Tatsuki could have been the one to reach him. Kubo chose differently though, as Tatsuki appears briefly at the beginning of the arc discussing part-time jobs, but then she vanishes until the end of the story arc, where she's shown as just another victim of Tsukishima's power. So there's no real powers development or payoff for her character. By the time that the final arc happens, Tatsuki's role has diminished so significantly that her appearances barely register in the narrative. She has 2 chapters worth of content across the 1000-year Blood War arc, which spans over 200 chapters. But something interesting happens during her brief screen time with Shunsui Kyoraku. She, Keigo, and Mizuhiro discuss Ichigo's absence while walking through Karakura Town. They openly reference the Soul Society. They know about Shinigami and Hollows and the spiritual conflicts that Ichigo keeps getting pulled into. Mizuhiro says something that hits differently in this context. He coolly acknowledges that they are not needed. They can't contribute to wars fought by Captain-level Shinigami and godlike Quincy. There appears to be sadness in Tatsuki's eyes when he says this, a look that feels oddly self-aware. When Shunsui explains that Ichigo might have to remain in the Soul Society permanently, Tatsuki receives a soul ticket that would allow her to visit, a small gesture acknowledging her importance in Ichigo's life even if she never became a fighter. Shunsui mentions that he planned to send Ichigo home before the final battles, time to see his family and friends, a chance for closure, but the Vandenreich invaded again and that opportunity disappeared. Tatsuki then resurfaces 10 years later during the epilogue of Bleach with a hair cropped short, punching Keigo in the face while everyone gathers to watch Chad's boxing match. If Tatsuki joined the core cast of Karakura Town humans during the Arrancar arc and trained under Yoruichi's guidance, the dynamics would have shifted considerably. She could have accompanied the rescue team to Hueco Mundo. Her protective instincts towards Orihime would have driven her forward. One matchup that fans have discussed is Tatsuki versus Loli, the jealous Arrancar who tormented Orihime in Las Noches. Both characters are defined by possessive devotion to someone they care about. One twisted towards malice and the other rooted in genuine friendship. Tatsuki versus Loli would have been thematically appropriate. During the Fullbringer arc, Tatsuki could have potentially been another member of Execution alongside Chad. And then for the 1000-year Blood War arc, she wouldn't have needed to fight Sternritter alone, as she would have contributed alongside Chad and Orihime in protecting Karakura Town and the Soul Society. During the events of the Hell arc, which is set 12 years after the 1000-year Blood War arc, Tatsuki is pretty much in her late 20s, running her own dojo, and it's almost certain that she has some level of spiritual awareness, like being able to see spirits and hollows. But I highly doubt that she's developed any additional spiritual abilities aside from this. Sadly, Tatsuki's moment in the limelight has long passed, and I highly doubt that she's going to be getting any spiritual development within the Hell arc whenever Kubo releases it. But yeah, the entire idea of this video came from that sketch that Kubo drew of Tatsuki in that Shinigami outfit with that fox-like Zanpakuto. Clearly, Kubo had plans with their character that didn't come to fruition. Whether if it's editorial pressure, which accelerated the narrative towards the Soul Society arc, or it's Kubo deciding that Tatsuki just didn't fit alongside Orihime and Chad, Uryu, and Ichigo, as the cast may have become too bloated for another central fighter to join them. I mean, Bleach is notorious for this issue. It has a large cast, and this inevitably results in a lot of them getting wasted potential. The Vizards barely did anything after their introduction. The Zero Division got bodied by resurrected Sternritter. Ukitake's Bankai never appeared in the manga, but thankfully a lot of this is being corrected for the 1000 Year Blood War arc anime, with the Vizards getting a lot more screen time, Ukitake getting over 10 minutes of anime original flashback content, and the Zero Division getting anime exclusive fights, but unfortunately Tatsuki isn't going to be getting any of this. But yeah, I want to now hand over the discussion to all of you. Do you agree that Tatsuki deserved more from the narrative? Would you have liked to see her being trained by Yoruichi? Should she have been a Fullbringer alongside Chad and Orihime? I'd love to know all of your thoughts, so continue the discussion in the comments, and lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.